Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ray Ibarra, and once again, we're here at the historic Brand Bookshop in beautiful Glendale, California, with my special guest. He's written this incredible book, best-selling author, A Prescription for Peace, Michael Douglas Carlin. Now, we're going to be talking about this book, his participation at our Green Book Pavilion, part of our Green New Media and Life Expo coming September 12th and the 13th at the Ontario Convention Center in Ontario, California. And he's going to be talking about an incredible project that he's begun. Fascinating story. You don't want to miss that. So joining us on the program is my very, very good friend, the editor of the Century City News, Michael Douglas Carlin. And Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Well, you know what? First off, I'd just like to say that's a really hip look that you got, man. That's really cool. That's a new look.
You know what? It changes every day. Yeah. You know, and I start to see the gray hairs, and I start to say, "Oh my God, I got to shave." So
it's a reminder, right?
That's a reminder. So,
well, welcome aboard, and for our viewing audience, talk a little bit about Prescription for Peace, and then we'll get on to this really great project that you have going on.
I wrote a Prescription for Peace a couple of years ago, and basically, a prescription for peace is food, shelter, healthcare, education, personal security, and a job. And these are the elements that everybody needs to be successful in life. And, you know, when a tsunami hits, it disrupts that. And so we need to go in and we need to help these people adjust and get their lives back.
Well, this is a very timely book, Michael, because look what's happening in not only in our country, around the world with this global financial meltdown. People are they don't know what to do. They're losing their jobs. And this is an extremely important book for the times.
It really is, because, you know, people need to go back to the basics. And, you know, we're seeing more and more people getting re-educated. You know, they get laid off from something that they've done for 20 years, and they have to go do something else. And it requires, you know, retrenching and learning something new.
Exactly. And you know this book that you've written is not just taken from information that you've gathered, but you've traveled around the world. Talk to our viewing audience about your travels.
Well, one of the stories that's in this book is a trip that I made to Nicaragua in 1996, and we went down to help the Mosquito Coast Indians after, you know, the whole Iran and, you know, the Contras and the Sandinistas and what have you. And basically there was a civil war. The Russians were on one side, we were on the other side. And when it was over, we just left. And we left the whole infrastructure of Nicaragua decimated. And so we took a bunch of medical relief in. We took an electrocardiogram machine into the hospital in Bluefields, which completely transformed it into a cardiac care center. And, you know, it was very rewarding. And I say this, once you've handed antibiotics to the mother of children and it saves those children's lives, you will never be the same. And it's, you know, it's like a cashew. You can't just eat one.
Right, and I love cashews.
So you gotta just keep doing it.
Right. Well, you know, you have this new project that you've started here, which ties in with this whole theme of A Prescription for Peace, your travels around the world. You're a multi-talented person, Michael. You're a writer. You're an editor for the Century City News. Talk to our viewing audience about this really exciting project that you have going now.
Yeah, I started, you know, publishing a publication called Steps for Recovery. Now, the publication itself has been in existence for 15 years, and the people that were publishing it decided that they didn't want to publish it anymore, and they contacted me and asked me if I wanted to take over the publication. And it's in a really interesting space, which is, you know, recovery from addiction. And it follows the 12-step program, and it's any addiction that we as humans can have.
So that means addictions. And we were just talking about this. An addiction. When we think of addictions, we probably think about hard drugs or hard alcohol or you know, heroin, those types of things. But it can be anything. It could be having that cup of coffee in the morning. Those cups of coffee.
Correct.
Or on the internet. Talk to our viewing audience about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, some people are sitting in front of their computer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the internet, addicted to the internet. Some people are addicted to cigarettes, coffee. You know, those are some of the more minor ones. But then, you know, it does go all the way to things like cocaine and heroin, and, you know, it's really bad stuff. And it's stuff that, you know, unless you're willing to make the change, the 12-step program isn't going to work. But once you've hit rock bottom and you've decided that you want to make a change, then, we provide the information that helps people find the path that leads to recovery.
Now, you had a great story that we were talking about before we came on air here. Talk to our viewing audience about that story.
Well, I published the Century City News. I'm in my 6th year of publishing that publication. And about 4 years ago, a gentleman walked through my doors that was a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, and he was going to come to deliver the paper. And when he walked in, he had the big backpack, and I could smell that homeless smell. And I didn't know much about homelessness at the time. And I looked at him. He seemed like a really nice guy, and we had some other interests in common. So we started talking, and I thought, okay, well, I'll just put him out, outside, delivering where the smell isn't going to offend too many people. But then he showed up 2 weeks later to do the next issue, and he showed up like 6 issues in a row, always on time, always ready to work. And so I said to him that next time he came in, I said, let's have lunch today. And we went and had lunch, and I said, hey, tell me about it. How long have you been homeless? How many, years have you been on the streets? And, why are you on the streets? And I started delving into this whole issue of homelessness. And the upshot was that we eventually bought him a van, and he started living in a van and instead of being on the streets. But then that was a little bit of a disaster, because now you got to get a license, you got to get insurance, you got to get it registered, and I started going through this whole process with him, and he ended up losing the van and becoming homeless again, and so I went through this whole cycle, and then he disappeared for a little bit, and then he contacted me again. And at one point I actually invited him to come live with me. And boy, one thing that I realize is that I do not have the skills to deal with homelessness, that there are professionals, and it's what they do. And he and I are still good friends. He still delivers the newspaper, and now he's in a homeless shelter. It's a really, he's got his own apartment, and it's a really good ending to a long, 4-year struggle.
That's a great story, Michael. I mean, it's as you just said, it's a process. All of this is a process. Everything that we do is a process. It's not there's no quick fix involved here. There's no button to push and automatically everything changes and it's everything's perfect. It takes time. It takes effort. And once we're on this path that your organization is really doing a wonderful job with, it takes constant maintenance.
That's right. And, it comes down to the basics: food, shelter, health care, personal security, education, and a job. And then, once you have those things under your belt, you're a productive member of society. And that's really where we want to see all people, head towards. Education is probably one of the biggest things, especially right now. People lose their jobs, they got to get re-educated,
And all of the budget cuts, they're taking away more after-school programs are virtually non-existent now, which is a tragedy. We have a few minutes left here. Time is going by so fast. And ladies and gentlemen, in case you just joined us, we're talking to best-selling author Michael Douglas Carlin, The Prescription for Peace. And Michael, give our viewing audience the contact information for your organization here. How do they get a hold of you for that?
It's called Steps for Recovery. It's steps, the number 4, recovery.org. And you can, contact me, mail@stepsforrecovery.org.
Okay. And once again, you're going to be coming in and being one of our keynote speakers talking about this at length at our Green Book Pavilion, part of our Green New Media Life Expo, September 12th and the 13th at the Ontario Convention Center in Ontario, California. If you need more information for that, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to greennewmedialifeexpo.com. That's greennewmedialifeexpo.com. You'll see all of our keynote speakers featured on our site, their bios, what they're into, and you'll see Michael on there as well. Any last words for our viewing audience?
I wanted to end with a poem. In 2003, I was watching the invasion, and, I have 2 sons that are both in the military and what have you, and I was watching, the television. Of course, I was a news junkie. I was addicted to the television at that time, and I wrote a poem when I was watching Bill Maher. As he was fired, I was thinking, man, free speech is really under attack in this country, and it's one of the cornerstones, I believe, to a free and an open society is to have free speech. And it goes like this. It's a poem called "Wrong Way, Turn Back," and it goes: deficit spending, national debt, vanishing treasures, age of regret. Armies invading, presidents lying, bombs are exploding, soldiers are dying. Starving for truth, thirsting for reason, absence of honor in the valueless season. Treadmill of progress, where will it lead? Decadent structures while refugees bleed. Future uncertain, enemy unseen, humanity's challenge, the SUV dream. Agenda of fear, freedom is hexed. Free speech is dead, democracy's next.
Wow. You know what? We have so many talented people here that have come on the show today, sharing their experiences through poetry. We're going to have you come back, and Carolyn come back as well, and do a show just on poetry here. Fabulous, Michael. That was incredible. Thank you so much for coming to share your time with me today here. It's been an eye-opener with your organization and with your book, and we'll be doing a lot of work together here in the not-too-distant future. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ray Ibarra at the Brand Bookshop with best-selling author Michael Douglas Carlin, A Prescription for Peace. Be looking for him as one of our keynote speakers at our Green Book Pavilion, part of our Green New Media Life Expo. This is Ray Ibarra. Until next time, we'll see you.